So Trippie Redd just dropped an album, A Love Letter to You 5, the finale to his highly popular album series, A Love Letter to You, and I haven't listened to it. Neither have most people. No one is talking about it, except for clowning the sales, and my friend didn't even know he dropped an album. So what happened to Trippie Redd? I originally wrote that like a couple weeks ago, and it's been a couple weeks, and I just wanted to talk about this because Trippie Redd used to be really big, especially in SoundCloud, and was actually one of the few artists to make it out of that whole clout era of SoundCloud and just in general, the internet. I'm not gonna say names, but you know, some rappers just straight up fell off. Obviously, some passed away, and some just stagnated or their music got old. But Trippie Redd managed to stay relevant in the industry, progress his music, not super fast, but he was progressing, and still dropped pretty good music until about a couple of years ago, I'd say. So what happened? If you're unaware, because a lot of people are, Trippie Redd just dropped the final installment to his album series, A Love Letter to You, and it sold 38,000. For a normal rapper, that's not even that bad, but for someone like Trippie Redd, it's pretty horrible, especially since, I hate to admit it, he's been on the decline, so this album was supposed to breathe some air back into his career, but unfortunately, it did the opposite. The one thing about Trippie Redd to me is he was always consistent. He'd always sell well, he'd always have some decent songs, he'd always somehow manage to get himself a hit, like he did with Mr. Rage. But recently, that just hasn't been happening, and nothing's really been hitting for him. So let me just give you some perspective to what his other albums sold. Exclamation Point, which dropped 4 years ago, sold 51k. Pegasus, which dropped 3 years ago, sold 60k first week. Life's a Trip, which dropped 5 years ago, sold 72,000. Trip at Night, 2 albums away, which he dropped in 2021, sold 81,000. A Love Letter to You 3 sold 84,000, also 5 years ago. And A Love Letter to You 4 was his highest selling album ever, selling 104,000 first week. And just before this album that sold 38,000, he dropped Mansion Music, which sold 56,000, which was his lowest in a long time already. So Trippie Redd has clearly been on the decline. His sales are lower than his sales 5 years ago when he was on the come up, and it really looks like he's falling off. By the way, the same week Trippie Redd sold 38k, Travis Scott sold 186,000 in his third week. To make things worse, there's a video of Trippie Redd a few years back where he was clowning on rappers for selling 30,000 first week.
C-list rappers, we about to create a Avengers of trash. We gonna sell what? If we all put our 30,000 first week together, we gonna make a bid.
Which is pretty funny because now he's sold 38,000 first week. What's even funnier is Playboi Carti, who hasn't liked a tweet in years, accidentally liked the tweet of Trippie Redd being clowned on for selling 30,000 first week. So it's really not a good look for Trippie. Everyone's calling him trash, his sales are declining, and if you go to his subreddit, even they're making fun of him. His own subreddit is calling out fans for coping that the album didn't sell well and wasn't that good, and even just admitting it was just okay. So why has this happened? How did it come to this point, and how did Trippie Redd's music career become somewhat of a laughing stock or a joke? Well, it didn't just happen randomly. To me, it happened when he started hopping on trends, starting at Trip at Night. I feel like everyone's got to remember that Trippie Redd came up when emo rap was coming up. Think Lil Peep, Juice WRLD, you know, that type of stuff. So when Trippie Redd was coming up, his core fans were really fans of him for his emo rap, his emotional rap, or I guess he's singing to, you know, that type of stuff. But when Trippie Redd started hopping on trends like Rage and Trip at Night, he was big enough where fans would eat it up, but it wasn't really what they wanted. We didn't really want him rapping on Rage beats. Even though Mr. Rage was a huge song and a really good song, no one really wanted a Rage album, you know what I mean? But since Mr. Rage was such a big song, I guess it would have just been a missed opportunity for Trippie not to make an album around that sound. So he did it, he sold well, and that was cool. Here's the mistake he made. He tried to double down on it and push the limit even further, and he dropped Mansion Music. And if he had done it right, it might have worked. Here's the thing. Trippie Redd has been somewhat biting the sound of others for a while now, and specifically Carti. Mansion Music was kind of inspired by Chief Keef, and Trippie Redd put a ton of features on it. He had features with Lucky, Summers, Lil Durk, Nardo Wick, Travis Scott, and of course Chief Keef, even Rilo Rodriguez, but it just didn't hit. Most of the songs were mid. They weren't even like worth more than one listen, and I didn't even listen to all the music because it just wasn't that great. And I feel like this is where he really dropped the ball because he lost everyone's interest. On top of that, he didn't have a hit like he did with Mr. Rage anymore, and he couldn't just ride off of that. So Mansion Music didn't exactly sell very well because it wasn't a great project, didn't have a lot of hype, wasn't his bread and butter, and just wasn't something that people were really looking for. I guess he thought, alright, A Love Letter to You 5, that can't flop, that has to be good. That's my famous series and fans are just gonna eat it up, which they clearly didn't because he didn't deliver. And he lost a lot of his hype, dropping multiple subpar projects. And with fans admitting his music doesn't really hit the same, I don't really know what to say or what to do because Trippie Redd has had this problem for quite a while now. It seems like he's tried everything, pushed the envelope with Mansion music, come back to his older sound with A Love Letter to You 5, but nothing's really hitting. And I feel like the best way to think about it is just accept that he's kind of falling off. You know, a lot of rappers who are very consistent, kind of like mixtape rappers, I feel like Wiz Khalifa is a great example because Wiz Khalifa was mad hard back in the day and he sold like crazy. He was a really big mainstream rapper. But as he got older, by the way, he was much older than Trippie Redd when it happened to him. His music just wasn't as good as it was before because, you know, he got older, started rapping about the same stuff. Your music's no longer that cool anymore. You know, it happens and your career just slowly fades. But because you were so consistent for so long and reached such heights, he could still get away with dropping projects that were alright and they would do alright. To me, that's what's happening to Trippie Redd, except Trippie Redd isn't even 25 years old. He's banking off what he did in the SoundCloud era, you know, with XXXTentacion, his old hits, his stuff with Juice WRLD, and it's not really working out for him. At this point, the only thing that could really save him is a mainstream hit, which is very unlikely at this point. What's sad to me though is that Trippie Redd could have actually become huge just 3 or 4 years ago, but I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he got too comfortable, maybe he just stopped trying, maybe he just lacks creativity now. He ran out of steam, musically. Trippie Redd was supposed to be on God's Plan if you forgot, and it's kind of his fault because he teased it and Drake took him off the song. But the message I was really trying to convey was that Trippie Redd was about to go mainstream a couple years ago. And now for him to be selling 38,000, which, you know, in his own words, going triple cardboard, kind of sucks. So overall, the point of this video is Trippie Redd's sales shouldn't really be that shocking to you. Maybe you thought he could hit 40k or 50k, but I don't think anyone was thinking that this project would hit 100k because most people didn't even know it dropped. And if they did, they weren't interested in checking out his new music, like me, even if they were fans previously. So let me know what you think. Is Trippie Redd washed? I kind of think so. Does he still have it in him? Maybe. I think he could come back if he had a hit, but it's just unlikely. I'm still gonna be listening to his old music, but his new stuff doesn't really intrigue me. Anyways, thanks for watching and have a nice day. By the way, I completely freestyled this video. I don't know if you could tell, so that's why I sound a bit incoherent. But let me know if you like these type of videos though, where I just talk off the top of my head and I can actually drop more on this channel. So thanks for watching and have a nice day.